So what I want to talk about today is traveling. The idea of traveling is kind of weird. It's just people going from one place to a different place only to come back a few days or a couple weeks later. And during that time in a different place, they just do as much as they can in as little time as possible. And first of all, tourism companies just take so much advantage of this. And honestly, when I've gone traveling, I've sort of felt a little bit exhausted. I mean, at least for my family, we just get up as early as possible and we arrive to the hotel as late as possible to get the full experience. But honestly, then it just becomes about seeing the most that you can see in the shortest amount of time. And sometimes I question if that's actually the right thing to do. Sometimes I question if that's actually really immersing myself into the place where I want to be immersed into. So today I want to talk about something called slow traveling and why it can actually be maybe better than the traditional way of traveling. So first off, we have to talk about what slow traveling is, and it's essentially what the name is. It's traveling slowly. And so instead of like going to a place for 1 or 2 weeks and trying to cram everything that you possibly can into those 2 weeks, you're staying somewhere for a couple months and you're living there. So you truly get to immerse yourself into that place and the culture that is there. And slow traveling has many benefits because, like I said, you don't get the full experience in 2 weeks. You get the full experience from living there. And that's something that I think is very valuable. So when you're staying somewhere for 1 or 2 weeks, you have what's called the honeymoon phase. And the honeymoon phase, everything just seems very good. You're only seeing the destinations that tourists see, you're only seeing the big parts, and everything just feels so new and exciting. After those 1 or 2 weeks, you get to a different phase, and this is a phase where you start to experience more than just the tourist places. You get to meet some of the locals, talk to some people, you just get to sort of float around, have some rest there, and really adjust yourself in the place that you're staying in. And then after that phase, that phase will last for around a month, and then after that phase you truly become one with the place. You truly meet the people, you make friends, you form relationships, you eat the food, you learn the culture, and you can do all of this in a couple of months. And that's why I think slow traveling is so beautiful, because you get to fully immerse yourself into the place that you're at. So one thing that I also wanted to talk about is the challenges, because I understand that there's going to be plenty of challenges with slow traveling. The primary one that I'm worried about being relationships, and I'm just overall very worried about my daily habits, because in Nebraska I always made time to socialize, and I understand that it's a very important factor of a healthy lifestyle. And as much as I want to just pour like 14 hours a day into my work, I understand like it just becomes very unproductive and unsustainable. So relationships are a huge part of my life, and I'm just worried about how I'm going to form close relationships in such a short amount of time when you're only staying in a place for a couple months at a time. So that's one thing I am worried about. The other side being that I'm worried about losing certain relationships in Nebraska. There are a lot of people in Nebraska who I'm just maybe a little glad to be distancing myself a little from. But there are also a lot of people that I care about a lot, and I really want to stay in contact with them. And I'm really worried that by being all over the world, I'm just not going to be able to. But like I said, there are pros to everything, and I mean social media is a really big pro here, and I am gonna still be able to connect with these people. Another thing that I'm sort of worried about is the mental toll of moving around all the time. Of course, this one's sort of easy. It's still in the United States. It's still the same language. I moved with my parents, so like I don't have to worry about finding a living situation all that much. So I'm extremely grateful for that, and I'm extremely grateful to them for giving me this opportunity. But I mean, in a couple months, I'm going to be going to an entire different country with an entirely different language, and this is sort of when I'm worried about this travel exhaustion, because it's just going to be a lot all at the same time, and on top of that, I'm going to be almost completely alone, and that's very worrying. Like I said, there's pros to every con, and honestly, there is no growth without pain. I think that pain is almost essential to large amounts of growth, and I think that some sort of growth is what I'm gonna find in this exhaustion. And when you push through an experience like that, I feel like that's gonna give you a bigger perspective of the world. And like I've said many times before, ultimately, that is my goal. I understand that not everyone is gonna have the opportunity to slow travel. It takes a lot of privilege, and I'm not blind to that. I know it takes a lot of privilege, and I'm very grateful for it. But if you do get the opportunity to slow travel, I really, really do believe that it is the best way to travel, and it just truly lets you immerse yourself into the culture, the food, the music, and like just the people in general. And you know, I'm just super, super, super grateful for this opportunity. Anyway, I'm gonna be slow traveling for probably a year or two, so if you would like to join me on my slow travel journey, I would very much appreciate a subscribe or a like or a comment. That would mean a lot to me. I hope you guys learned something about slow travel today, and you know, I'm really excited for the future. Thank you guys for watching.